What if you could give every foreman in your business an expert safety advisor in their pocket? Say an AI that knows your company's procedures and every single WorkSafe guideline inside and out, ready to give you a straight referenced answer 24/7. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to build that. And it's easier than you think. I'm Josh Turner, a construction project manager with over 10 years experience on site, and now the founder of the AI Construction Academy, where we help construction companies actually understand and utilize AI. All the resources from this video can be found in my free Skool community. The link is down in the description, and that includes things like step-by-step instructions to build this, a full course going deep into the foundations of AI, and a lot more, so be sure to check that out. Standard ChatGPT is great, but it has a huge problem for this industry. It knows nothing about your specific projects, your safety policies, or the nuances of construction in general. Its knowledge is generic and often outdated. Ask it a critical, site-specific question, and you'll get a generic, unreliable answer. That's a risk you can't afford to take. You want your team to have specific, tailored answers to their questions whenever they need them. Now let's jump into the demo on how to build one of these solutions for yourself. For my example, I'm going to be using the WorkSafe New Zealand Good Practice Guidelines for the knowledge base. And it's important to remember that you can use this type of solution for anything in your business. Think your own specific safety policies, or maybe it's something more to do with HR. Anything that you want your team to have quick access to, this is an awesome solution for that. So let's jump into the demo. Cool, so now you can see we're in my ChatGPT. I have the Pro tier, which is the first one up from the free tier. You need that or above to be able to create your own custom GPTs. And that's how we're going to be implementing the solution. So custom GPTs are a way of creating a very specific, ChatGPT use case. So it is trained to do one thing and that thing only, and it's very, very good at it. So what we're going to be doing is building out one with a knowledge base on the WorkSafe New Zealand guidelines, and then it's going to be very, very good at answering questions based on those guidelines. So the way to do that is you can see over on the left here, we have the GPTs. What you want to do is select that, and then you can find a number of GPTs that other people have created, and they call it the GPT store. None of them cost, but they are out there that other people have made. So you can check those out too. Then you can go and find your own GPTs within here. But what we want to do is create our own. So we're going to hit the create button there. And you can see we come into here. There's create and configure. Now, create is kind of the text way of making a GPT. It's not quite as rigid, I suppose, as the configure one, and it's harder to get such accurate answers or specific answers out of it. And really using the configure one is not that hard. So what we're going to do today is use the configure tab and run through it step by step. This icon here, the first thing up, is you can either upload a photo or use DALL-E, which is ChatGPT's image creator, to make something. It just makes it a little bit more unique, a little bit more special. But I'm not going to worry about that for this one. Let's just jump straight into the meat of it. So the name, what we want to call it. In this case, we're simply going to call it a WorkSafe New Zealand Policy Advisor. Super simple. And next is the description. So just a little thing about what it actually does. And all we're going to put in here is that it provides answers on health and safety compliance based on WorkSafe New Zealand guidelines. Exactly what it does. Now we jump down to the instructions tab. This is where we give it exactly what it wanted to do. This is where the prompt goes. Now, inside the Construction Academy course, we have a whole module on how to create good quality structured prompts. So if you need help with the prompt, be sure to check that out. In this case, I'm just going to copy in a prompt I prepared earlier, but I'll quickly go through it. So same as what I teach in the community, it's the role and the goal. So it's what we want the agent to be able to do. In this case, we're giving it the role of the WorkSafe assistant, which is essentially what it is. And it's an expert health and safety compliance assistant. Perfect. So that's that. The next is the audience. It's who's going to be using it. And that's people like myself and you guys, which is like site managers, project managers, foremen, and health and safety officers. So that gives it a bit of context about what kind of answer they want. And then we're going to give it the core instructions and constraints. So the big thing for this, with it being obviously a safety advisor, is we want to make sure that it's using these documents as a source of truth, because we want it specific to the New Zealand WorkSafe guidelines are not pulling out general safety advice from the internet. So that's what a lot of this goes into, hence the mandatory citations, so we can check its work. And including things like the hierarchy of control is just general ways you approach safety, but applying it specifically to what the guidelines have. And then tone and response format. So just the way we want it to output its response effectively. And then handling uncertainty. I've put this in here as a specific section because in this case, it's very important that it doesn't try and make up answers or bring in generic answers from what it's been trained on. So in this case, we said to make sure that it understands the user's question and to clarify if it needs to. We don't want it to be giving wrong outputs because it hasn't quite understood the question properly. And then the other one in there is that if the information is not present in the guidelines, to not make things up and to say that. Don't give an answer that doesn't come from the guidelines effectively. And the last thing here is just an example prompt response pattern. So in this case, I've given it the example of the scaffolding on site and then how I would want to see the answer come out. So that's that. Next is conversational starters. This is great for a GPT where you're going to use it very often and ask it the same question. So let's say you create a weather GPT and it gives you the daily weather. You would want a conversation starter to be, what is the weather today? And then you can just hit a button rather than typing it out each day. In this case, it's going to be a lot of different questions I'm going to be answering it. So having a conversation starter doesn't make sense. It's not the type of thing. And now we jump into the knowledge base. This is the next most important thing behind the instructions. And here is where we're going to upload all of the files from the guidelines that I've downloaded. Now there's 17 of them, which is a lot. And unfortunately, it can't upload all of those at the same time, but it can upload up to 20 documents. So it's better to keep that limit in mind. Now let's just upload them a little by little so that we can get them all in there and give a chance to work through that. Cool, so I've uploaded it at a pace that it can keep up and not get overwhelmed, and we can see they're all uploaded now, which is great. And now we move on to whether we want to suggest or recommend a model for the user to use. I'm going to leave it open so that the user can choose which model they want to do, whether that be GPT-5 or 4 or whatever. And I'm going to tick code interpreter too, because it gives the GPT more functions. So if someone wants to create a document or anything like that from this, they can. And I'm not going to worry about putting custom actions in off the back of this. This is purely just to help me in my day-to-day when I've got safety questions. And that is the bulk of how we create a GPT. That's really it. On the right here is where you can start previewing and testing that GPT. From that, we can then decide if we like the answers or if we want to change them. But in this case, I'm going to go straight ahead and create it because we can always jump back in after. And I prefer the interface when it's not right next to it there. So when we hit create, it gives us this share GPT options. Now, you can see I've got only me, anyone with the link, and the GPT store. So only me, that's great if you've got personal information or things you don't want sharing with anyone else. That means that only you will have access to that GPT and no one else can. Anyone with a link is great for this situation really, because you want to share it with your team, but probably no one outside of your organization. So this is a good way to give it access to your team, but no one else. And the GPT store is when you're happy to make it public. This means that anyone in the world can search and find your GPT and then use it on their behalf. So a very cool way to share things out there. In this case, I'm actually going to add it to the GPT store. That way, if you're looking for something like this, you can go out there, type it in, and find it. So let's go ahead. I'll put a category under it because just to make it easier to find, and we're going to call it, let's say, research and analysis. Perfect. So let's save that. Great. So it's published it now, and you can see it's given us a link. So if you want to share it with the team, we can just copy that link and share it out. So let's go ahead and view the GPT. And what you can see is it's brought us back into what we would see as normal ChatGPT user. We're in the interface, but obviously we're inside the WorkSafe NZ Policy Advisor, not say a new chat. And now we can simply interact with it like it is a regular chatbot. So I'm going to go ahead and test it by asking it a question on what the requirements are for shoring in New Zealand. And you can see it's running through the steps much like it would in the regular chat thing, because that's what it is. It's just pulling it from that custom knowledge base that we're given it. So answer when shoring is required. Shoring is required whenever there is a risk of ground collapse during excavation work, regardless of excavation depth, and particularly when workers are required to enter the trench or the excavation. That's a good answer. And now it's given us some more general requirements from that good practice guideline about when shoring must be used. So when it's a ground collapses risk, workers must enter it to perform work, benching or battering is not practicable, ground conditions are unstable. So yeah, all the kind of situation running through your head. And then some considerations for designing and installing these shoring systems. And obviously they must be designed to resist expected groundwater and surcharge loads. And when there is surcharge, groundwater is present, shoring must be specifically designed to account for those pressures. It's good to know. More on the depth and duration guidance. So shoring in soil arching is only suitable for excavations less than 2 meters in deep and only for less than 1 week. And for deeper or longer term excavations, more robust shoring such as sheet piling, H-piles with lagging or engineered hydraulic bracing is required. Cool. And then some removing guidance. And then here we've got a summary table. So the situation where a worker is entering a trench deeper than 1.5 meters, yes, they need shoring. That is correct. The ground is unstable or waterlogged, yep. And excavation beside structures, roads or spoil hoops, yep. And then short term, generally no. And if you've sloped or benched the sides, eliminating collapse risk, then no, you don't need it. So although I've done a lot of work around trenching in that, it's always nice to be able to run something and just double check a few things, or maybe it spits out 1 or 2 little nuances that you weren't quite aware of. Like for example, maybe you weren't aware that if there was a surcharge or groundwater present, that the shoring must be specifically designed to account for those pressures. Just those little things like that is a great double check. And also at the bottom, you can see it's referenced where it's got this information from, so you can go ahead and check that. That's a really good thing to do when you're testing these systems out or whatever knowledge you put in there, just to make sure that it's interpreting that information correctly. Okay, so let's try something else with this. So what I'm going to do is create a new chat. Now it's a little bit different when you're in this model. So what you want to do is go ahead, click the name of it, and then just simply go, if you want to edit the GPT, maybe you want to edit the prompt or whatever, jump in and go edit. About will just give you the information about it. You can hide it from the sidebar, copy the link so you can share it with your team. But what we want to do is create a new chat. Because now I know that there's a competent person that's supposed to check, let's say scaffolding now, each day prior to the shift. Now I know that weekly it needs to be a certified scaffolder that checks it, and that's fine because I have a subby doing that. But I need to create a checklist for my team when they're on site to check it each day so we can show that we have a record of compliance with the scaffold. So now I'm going to go ahead and prompt it to actually create that checklist for me so that it's in line with the guidelines presented by WorkSafe. Cool, so now I've given it that prompt for it to go ahead and create that checklist. So simply going to hit enter there, and it's going to go ahead and do the normal process it does when you ask it a question. It shouldn't take too long. And then we can see now it's already spitting back the answer, and it's found the right New Zealand guideline that I want it to. So obviously the scaffolding New Zealand one, and that has created a checklist for us that we can go through and give to our team. So it's split up into sections, which is great, with general safety and housekeeping. And so a good bit of detail in there that it's pulling out from that good practice guideline too. Working platform, no gap size from 50 mil. So I like the specificity that it's getting with those numbers in there too. Toe boards, taking record. And then it's given us an inspection frequency too, just to, I guess, add to it. And you can see here, which is what I was just saying, that all scaffolds need a daily pre-start check, which is just a competent user. And then a certified scaffolder is for the weekly ones. And after alteration, storms, or repairs, that a certified scaffolder must come and check it. So that's really cool. And then some tagging records, so making sure if there's any issues highlighted, that you can tag those up. So you can see it's a very simple checklist for the daily one. And what's great about it is I know now that this is in line with the guidelines set out. So I can actually prompt it now to create a PDF of this checklist that I can share with the team. or I may choose to take some of the things out or add some things in. So it's a great place to start when you're creating checklists and the likes for activities like that. I really, really like this use case for it. So there you have it. That's how you create a custom GPT with custom knowledge to get custom answers. It's incredibly powerful, and it's a really cool way to give information to your site team straight away. One of my other favorite use cases for this is having it trained on your own company's policies and PPE requirements. So let's say someone's about to complete a task on site and they're like, I haven't done this for a while. I know this isn't specific PPE, but I can't quite remember what it is. Rather than guessing and carrying on, they have a really easy way to find out by just quickly asking this custom GPT, and it can give them the answer straight away. And what may be even better for yourself, depending on your position, is that if you're constantly getting phone calls about this kind of stuff, these custom GPTs can act as like a first line of defense to kind of reduce the workload you get from your team calling you. And that can save you a ton of time. And then you're only getting the really important questions where you can spend a bit more time on them. I really like that use case too. So there you have it. I'd go away and think about how this can fit within your business and where would be the most impactful way to implement it for your team. And also you can implement them project by project because they're really easy to make. They don't take long. So you can create those custom GPTs that are trained on a new project. Like I said, in the AI Construction Academy, my school community, there's a link in the description, and there's some more information, including the prompt that I use here, and also some step-by-step instructions on how to do this. So be sure to check that out and jump in the community too. We're constantly putting out new information about AI, specifically for the construction industry. So it's a great place to stay up to date, and we're always adding to our course. So be sure to check that out too. It can give you a great foundation on AI and make sure you're one of the leaders within your team, and that in turn will help you out big time. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.